welcome you all for the second session of our Kolkata Dialogues. Bengal is in the news and it is being said it's one of the swing states. So what does that mean? Swing state, which means it can go either way, and it has the power to swing the elections into 2024. Whichever way it will go, it will have an impact on the national numbers and that by stretch on national politics and on somehow on the government that is going to be formed after these elections. We will have some broad brush discussions where I'll invite all of you to speak on. This segment of our dialogue is called the Great Bengal or the Great Indian Narrative 2024. So what does this election 2024 entail? What does it mean for you? Why is it being called? Why do you think it is a watershed election? How is it different from any other previous elections? Saira, can we start with you?
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Sharmishta. Thank you so much, the New Indian Express, for having me over for this pertinent discussion. It's a pleasure being here. It's blistering hot outside. However, we do not have a choice because, like we said, it's a battle for Bengal. And I am standing for the Kolkata South seat, supported by the Congress, and I'm the left front candidate here. See, now this is a watershed moment indeed, because now this is a battle of ideas. It's a battle of ideologies. It's a battle of principles. We have seen a breakdown of democracy, and our past couple of years, we've seen a systematic breakdown of democratic rights. India has always stood for secularism, for inclusivity, for fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, freedom of free speech, free press. However, we have seen a breakdown of these ideas, for a very long time. And that is what the fight is all about. When we come down to Bengal, the Great Bengal Narrative, I think your previous discussion was more about, is BJP ready to forge a new space in Kolkata? So I'd like to give a parallel narrative to that. I would like to say, is the left ready to forge a new identity in Bengal or in Kolkata? Yes, we are. We are get up to be or emerge victorious with 10, 11 seats and be the top contenders as the main opposition in West Bengal right now. I know to dismantle the Trinamool Congress would be a stupendous task. However, we are at the job and we are slowly but surely trying to make inroads into the minds of people who have created this binary, especially the mainstream media, of the TMC versus the BJP. I broke that binary in the 2022 by-election when I fought against TMC, Babul Supriyo. I defeated the Congress and I defeated the BJP with a thumping majority, and I came close to winning the election. Now, that was one constituency. Now I've got 7 constituencies. I've got 2 sitting MPs to defeat. So on one side, we are seeing a narrative of corruption, where the Trinamool Congress is smeared with various corruption scams. The education minister is in jail. It's tragic, he's in jail. And right now, 26,000 people have lost jobs because of the teacher recruitment scam. It has been unprecedented in the history of West Bengal, where we worship the goddess Saraswati. We worship learning. And there's so many tributes paid to education. And the education minister is in jail for education scam. So this is something that we need to tell people, that right now, the key people in the Trinamool Congress have all been accused of various scams, whether it is coal scam, whether it was the Narda, whether it was the Sharda, now the education scam, the teacher recruitment scam. So we want the youth to understand that here all the candidates who've been fielded by the left and supported by the Congress all have a clean record. None of them have criminal past. We all are educated and we are here to serve the people. Nobody is here to mint money. Nobody is here to make a quick buck. We are here to set the narrative straight. So I think the big question would be, is left and the Congress ready to chip in or ready to forge a new government in West Bengal? I would be a little rational and say that right now we are ready to be the to be the main opposition. And in the next election, which is the assembly election coming soon in 2026, we are ready to form the government. This election would be to be the main opposition.
Dr. Kunal, if you would.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a great hazard to have a doctor who is, by definition, intellectually challenged in a gathering as politically and intellectually ordained as this. So I will start off with acknowledging the handicap and bear with me for the next few minutes. First of all, I think this is the most boring election India has seen. The 18th election will go down in history as being one of the most boring pre-decided elections that ever was. To me, there is a great value of this particular election is there is some possibility, my friends tell me, that this could be the last one. So please go ahead and vote with all the care, compassion, attention, tension you would master, because God knows when we are going to have the next one. I'm not entirely sure about it. That is my first point. This is a stupid person speaking. You've got to bear with it. Who are the people who I see in front of me? I see, of course, the great overpowering personality of the Prime Minister, the great, venerable, honorable, extremely honorable Narendra Modi ji. I think he is actually canvassing for the 2028 elections. And the other person I see now and then is Rahul Gandhi. He's actually canvassing for the 21-28 elections. So I don't think there is much focus and much attention on this election at all. West Bengal, I think, is honestly, if the overall Indian election is boring, West Bengal is very boring, because some of you would probably, I haven't read too many copies of the Sunday Standard, but if you have any corporate people yourself, so I think West Bengal is really fighting an election where number one and number two is in a state of internal redistribution. It is the same conglomerate. It is a feudalism. This is what, I don't know, it is very difficult to to spread history amongst Bengalis, because Bengal used to happen a history that went back till about Plassey, and currently Bengal's idea of history is whatever has happened in the last half an hour. So currently, if you go to the feudalism, the history of it, the feudal takeover has already happened. Okay. So I am in a part, 6 hospitals in Bengal has right now been taken over by an all India concern. And I know how painful. It is like not a human pregnancy, it's like an elephant's pregnancy. It goes on for almost 2 years. And so this takeover is happening in bits and pieces and installment. So this is like, some slow Ashwamedh Yajna going on, where this government, the state government, which at one time, not today, at one time used to be slightly scatterbrained, tremendously erratic, devoid of ideology, instinctive, impulsive regional party, is currently incompetent, corrupt, depending upon a fact that thanks to a great Muhammad Ali Jinnah, we have a demographic division of our state, and that is probably the only predictability this government depends on. And this government, the other government who are pretending to fight with them, are not actually fighting. Again, thanks to who is the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, because that fellow bestowed upon us the talisman of our demography. And that fellow knows that it is going to be tremendously hard work for them with such amount of social inclusiveness and compassion, or rather the lack of it, to fight through this demography which has 32 to 34% so-called minority participation. They don't want to work hard. So every company, every corporate entity, the Adanis, the Ambanis, even the chap selling bhujia next door, they have a business policy. The current central government will either win or they will acquire. Two methods are very straightforward. I have not seen a third method that has been displayed, whether you will go to Gulwalkar or whoever you want to go back to. By the way, all the founders of RSS had their medical education in Kolkata. So we gave India more mischief than we bargained for. So currently, the current BJP government is a very clear-cut corporate entity, very Bania-like, very business-like. There are some elections, some government they form, and the other governments they acquire. And our acquisition process, you see, Maharashtrians are very business-like. They will never waste time on, doing business. You go to a Modi shop in Bengal, they will go on haggling about 1 kilo of sugar for 7 days. So some kind of internal haggling is going on. Corporate acquisition has almost happened. You have to pretend to fight one another. I spent 7 years in the bylanes of College Street studying medicine, which I shouldn't have. And what used to happen over there is in the daytime, every lane of North Calcutta belongs to one Gunda group. And in the morning, the Gundas have to show you that they own. Somebody owns this gully, somebody owns that gully, somebody owns in the other gully. At the time when it is quiet in the dead of night, they all sit down and calculate who has earned what. There is clear-cut understanding, and they have a pretty steady life thereafter. So extremely, a friend of mine is going bananas right now. What is it like? 15, 18, 21, 22. I told him that the State Bank of India Central Office is fighting with the State Bank of India Regional Office. I don't know, what is it? So does Bengal at all matter? I honestly have done my numbers. Please pardon my ignorance. The 42 seats in Bengal does not matter in the national spectrum. Does not matter at all.
Okay.
My little understanding.
Yeah.
And once it is, I'll appeal to all of you, do go out and vote whenever you have to. Otherwise, there is high chance your vote will be cast anyway. That has never stopped us from voting. And the second is, maybe your grandchildren or maybe your children will ask you what kind of funny business Tea Party was the elections like, because nobody knows when the next elections will be held. And as far as Bengal is concerned, very dead, very docile, very decided. The only people fighting are them. And I'll just end with one line, that is a mistimed romance. Why? Because this is like a geriatric love story between the Congress and the CPM. If this great romance, this warmth, when I see Adhir Chaudhary and Muhammad Salim almost kissing one another, that intense romance, it is almost like like an adult movie, the proximity we see now and then. I only think one thing, that this semi-adult movie should have come to Bengal 4 decades earlier, when they were fighting at one another, like God knows what, and when they paired the state, got the meat out of the bones, and the state was reduced to a skeleton. But kya karenge, kal ho na ho. This is one of the Karan Johar scripts, where the grandmother and grandfather are sort of reminiscing on some love lost. And we in Bengal is seeing a love story, very heartwarming, should have happened 40 to 45 years before. Thank you.
That was a rather long response. Zaad.
First of all, thank you to the group for inviting me. It's a difficult task speaking after Kunal da, because he's such a good speaker. So, first of all, as you've understood, all of us think that this is a very crucial election because whether there would be elections in the future or not, or which direction India would go in terms of its basic foundational values, as Shairadi has mentioned, about secularism, federalism, and democracy. And, and the point is, I would disagree in the sense that it's not a boring election. It's a very low key election without the balakot, uh, fervent nationalism, high pitched. But this election is very interesting in the sense, I was looking at some statistics. Uh, let's take 4 states of India: Bihar, West Bengal, Maharashtra, and Karnataka, right? In Karnataka, out of the 28 seats, 28 or 26 seats, BJP got 24 or 26. That was the extent of their victory in 2019. In West Bengal, they got 18, we all know, out of 42. In Bihar, the NDA got 39 out of 40. And in Maharashtra, they got something around 30, 35 or 36 out of the 48 seats. Now, in American politics, we hear about the swing states because there are these, out of the 50 states, some states are Democratic. Even before elections, Democratic Party is going to win. And some states are Republican. And then there are these 8 or 9 states which swing, which change the presidency. In India, we are also looking at something which is similar. If we look at the assembly elections and the Lok Sabha elections together, we can clearly mark out some states where BJP will do quite good. All of us know. And then there are these states of southern India where the BJP is not going to do good. We all know that. And so the battle then becomes of these swing states. In Maharashtra, we don't know, after the split of the Shiv Sena, they got 18 seats, which way the voter is going to go. In West Bengal, the BJP's vote share increased by 30% in 2019 and they managed to get 18 seats. Now, after the Panchayat poll, where the Jot, as Shairadi was rightly pointing out, that the battle for the left and the Congress is to become the key opposition, the Jot has actually got more votes than the BJP. And West Bengal, at least this election will show for West Bengal that what kind of political dynamics we are entering into. Was the BJP's rise an exceptional thing? I would agree with Kunalda. One thing that has happened, and as voters we realize that it's just a change of personnel from one party to the other party, which the voters have also recognized. So what is the implication when it comes to common HR pool which they are sharing accordingly? And
It's like Saregama, common talent.
And the good part about, not good part, but the distinctive of West Bengal is that, you see, the BJP is contesting election in northern India on the plank of Ram Mandir, removal of Article 370. But in West Bengal, these are not the big issues, right? And as we go down from West Bengal, these are not the big issues. So one thing is, it's highly, Indian democracy is becoming mature. We have to admit it. The same voter who goes and votes for Narendra Modi then comes and votes for Mamata Banerjee and then comes and votes for the left candidate in the Panchayat. This party loyalty, where a particular person is going to vote for a particular party all through their life, is changing. West Bengal is going through that transition. So in that way, it would be quite interesting. What is the relevance of this election? The relevance of in any democracy, when the institutions are not strong, and our institutions are not strong, that is why whosoever becomes the chief minister or the prime minister can command, dictate, order the police, the bureaucracy. In America, institutions are quite strong. That is why the FBI could open a file in the name of their president, Donald Trump. In India, we cannot imagine that happening against a chief minister or prime minister. So it's easier for politicians to take over institutions. The stronger they become, the more they take over. And that is what we are seeing in West Bengal, or we are seeing in Delhi. The entire thing about ED, CBI or West Bengal police is the idea that these institutions are not neutral, they are not working, they are working according to the dictates of their political masters. Another victory, another strong government would further weaken whatever institutions we have managed to build so far. Whatever iota of independence, democracy that we have is under threat. Now, this has also happened in India in the past. We have had Indira Gandhi during 1975, 77, or 71 onwards. And we have seen that there is this trend to undermine institutions. But the voters of India quite wisely taught Indira Gandhi a lesson. And I still have faith in the voters of India that Indian voters are very politically mature and wise. And we might see a reduced majority or a different result, but we hope to see that.
If that hope and uncertainty or guessing is not there, there would be nothing left to the elections. Saira, I would like to ask you one thing, that how do you see this election? You are talking about the left winning some 10 seats and all that. We know what the situation of the left is in, and your own party, CPIM, which ruled Bengal famously for 34 years. What is the situation right now? And we know, last election there was this underlying slogan that Eibar Ram por Eibar Bam. So these kind of things have also been going on. So how do you see this election? Is this an election? Are you fighting, you personally, this is a personal question from the macro, I'm coming down to the micro. Are you fighting this election as a India versus, or you see this election as a India versus Modi election, or do you see this as a CPM versus CPM stroke India versus Mamta Banerjee election right now? What are you contesting?
Yeah, we want to break the usual binary narratives that have been set of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the TMC. There's a narrative that is built in West Bengal for a couple of years that in case you need to defeat the BJP, you need to vote for the Trinamool Congress. Now, if you look at this, there are some sitting MLAs right now from BJP who are from TMC, and they are candidates from TMC who are willing to jump ship to the BJP. So if you look at the left, there was not a single BJP seat till the left was in power. So this whole narrative, this whole drama, this whole theatrics that Mamta Banerjee puts on every day of fighting the BJP is a farce. Because here she's actually not fighting the BJP. In fact, she was a member of the Sangh Parivar, many years ago before she came into power. So definitely that narrative is there. So right now, ideologically, if you want to fight the right in India, you have to have a very strong left. Because it's a battle of ideology. Trinamool Congress does not have an ideology, I'm sorry to say. Right now, like I said, it's a battle of India, like we've seen in the Nuremberg law in Germany. Who were the others? The others were the working class. The others were the Jews. The others were the common everyday citizenry of Germany. So the same Nuremberg law is trying to be implicated by Mr. Narendra Modi, where he's trying to of course, put the minorities in the corner. It's not just the minorities, any thinking individual, college students, intellectuals, dissenters, opposition. I mean, it is unheard of where two sitting CMs of a country have been arrested. It's unprecedented. And here you look at the absolute criminal charges, which have been against some BJP members and also some of them who are contesting elections. It is as if, he's invisible to the crimes and the accusations of his own party members. And he ensures that all voices of dissent is being silenced by either the ED or the CBI or by arresting sitting CMs or by ensuring that draconian laws are passed by the parliament. So we've heard of the emergency, okay? But I think what we are witnessing today is unprecedented. It goes beyond the emergency. We only heard of it as when we were kids. But what we are hearing today is unprecedented because now it has become integral for every thinking individual, anyone who has a scientific temperament, anyone who's educated to defeat the BJP. I think it is every citizen's responsibility to do that. And for that, you don't need to vote for the TMC. You know, we have a very strong, robust left who did really well in the bypolls, who did really well in the municipal corporation elections. We won Sagardiki, we came second in Baliganj. And you look at the civic elections and the panchayat elections, we did incredibly well.
Yeah, every time I speak to Sitaram, he says, we are coming back, we are bouncing back. Then he, accounts this where he has ended as, second, where he has just lost by 500 votes. So we are waiting, we are listening to that narrative. But I'll come to you, Kunal, in a way that basically saying that, it is a emergency kind of situation, and there is dissenting voices are not allowed. Opposition parties, two sitting CMs have been put behind bars and have been arrested, and there is a threat. So is the threat to opposition? Is the opposition party, the India alliance doesn't work here. I mean, if you ask Saira has more to say about TMC and Mamata Banerjee and her corruption and what she has not done. Then she of course adds Modi and BJP and the central government comes as an add-on. So, are they fighting for the people, or are they fighting for themselves here? And also, we don't see an India alliance here. They couldn't come together. They're fighting each other.
I won't be able to remember that many questions, you see.
No, there's basically two questions. I held forth longer, maybe.
No, because half of my brain has dropped off when I was young. Now, I picked up, I'm a bit of an alternative historian, so I'll give you a couple of points. I think, Jaz just mentioned Indira Gandhi. Since 2014, if you go through each and every speech of Narendra Modi that has been archived, that is one person he has never spoken against. So it gives you a sinking feeling that that is one person he actually adores. You tell that Sitaram is telling you, we are coming back. That is exactly what Mikhail Gorbachev told the Russians when they broke up into sort of 25 different factions. Before he signed off, he let, Russia will be great again. As we say in Bangla, Bharat Shobai Srishto Ashur Lobe. So delusion of grandeur is an international disease. Remember that. Now, I am really, you are very well-informed journalists, many of you over here. I was just calculating the other day in another discussion that it depends which version of Indian mythology you believe in. There are too many versions going on now. One tells us our civilization is 5,000 years old. If that is so, we have been democratic for 1.5% of that time. If you believe we are 10,000 years old, then we have been democratic for 0.75% of our existence on this planet Earth. So please, do not beat me up. Allow me to leave the hall in one piece. I think democracy in India is a disease that has been there for 1.5% or 0.5% of the time. Not one Indian personality you go home and adore has ever come to the Indian celebration pantheon in a democratic manner, starting from Gandhi, right up to Vivekananda, right up to Lord Krishna, whichever mythology you believe in. I don't know who got themselves elected and how. If you are aware, let me know. Secondly is, the other day, I have this bad habit. I was enumerating the Indian political parties. I did not find out one political party that was democratic outfit. So it is like, if you go to a Bangla biye badi, you will have everybody enjoying mutton curry rice, and after the meal is finished, they go and discussing the merits of a vegetarianism. So that is what we are doing now. So in the entire list of roles of the election commission, there isn't one political party who is democratic. Each one of them, for that particular month or 1.5 months of election, we prostrate ourselves in the feet of democracy. I don't know how would it all be possible. Please enlighten me at some stage. 2 successful vaccinations have happened so far. COVID vaccination was fairly successful. Now we are giving a population a steady multi-dose vaccine of anti-democracy vaccine, which is happening through, I cannot mention any politician by name because I have a profession to go back to tomorrow morning, and to run a hospital you require 23 licenses. Okay? So I still have the compulsion to put bread on the plate. It doesn't come automatically through any ATMs. So huge compulsion. So I really think, please savor the moment as you have it. It is some fairy tale that is happening in front of our eyes. So starting from Lord Krishna to Ram Krishna to Paramhansa to whoever, this disease of democracy will be vaccinated away from India, and we will go back to the glorious, mythological, feudal days of Ashwamedh Yajna, maybe kingdoms. What will happen to the right of women? Please don't ask me. That is a very contentious subject. So I think we are journeying on that path. There was an attempt, of an Arab Spring some time back. The Arabs are very clever people. I greatly adore people like Al-Khawarizmi, people like Ibn Sina. They flirted around with democracy for 15 days. Post that Arab Spring, 15 days, they slept in the same bed with democracy and they decided we are not made for it. Indians have a few gray cells missing. We will realize it in the 76th year or 78th year. By the time it is 78 years, I think this disease would be autoclaved out of the Indian system. So my request to you is, go on writing your column, savor the moment when you have it, and as I tell you, go back home, look at your walls, look at every Indian personality you think of, anybody who has made it to the Hall of Fame. If you find one person who has got there democratically, I'll give you my WhatsApp number, WhatsApp it to me. Thank you.
After all this very dark narratives, I want you to speak on something quite different, which is, we have been talking about the demographic dividend, okay? So that demographic dividend that we greatly spoke about, wrote about, and that is what is going to take India to God knows where, to be the top economy or the third largest economy, the biggest service provider. Everything was happening based on that. But looking at the apathy that we see among young voters, and looking at the numbers as they are going to pan out, do you think that we have kind of missed the bus, or we have only a very small window left of another, say, 5 years to make the best of it? And that's why this election is so very important.
That's a big question, and this demographic dividend is something that we talk about. So all of us know India is the youngest country in the world in terms of average age, and that's going to continue for the next decade, right? China is aging, Europe has aged, Western America has aged, Japan is aging, it's a very old country on an average. Now the point to be noted here is that when you get a lot of 15 to 49-year-old who are able to work, the most important question becomes is what skills, what kind of health, what kind of education do these people possess? Because that will determine their contribution to the economy. And of course, we are going through a demographic dividend, but unfortunately, if we divide it, There is this book written by Nilakanthan, it's called The Great North versus South Divide, where he shows that the population growth is highest in the poorest states of India. The richest states of India, the southern states of India, have a low population. So you have the rich states with low number of young people, but you have the poorer states with basic deficit in education, health, and other things. And so how that demographic dividend, whether this would be a dividend or whether we'll get an angry group of youngster who are disappointed with what the country and society has provided them, and they would be the right kind of people to be mobilized under any kind of hateful politics, right? So this is number one. Number two would be what is happening for West Bengal. And Bengal, as you know, of course, like India is the third largest economy in the world, we are going to be 5 trillion. Bengal is the fourth largest economy in India. Unless you divide it by the number of people. And in per capita income, we are 18th or 19th in India, not fourth. Just like in India, when you divide it by per capita, we go down to 100, below 150, not the fourth or the third. So in reality, West Bengal is the fourth largest state where out-migration is happening. We all saw during COVID, those COVID express, where people going to Gujarat, Maharashtra, southern India. In West Bengal, the average wage, daily labor, is 320 and 330 rupees for unskilled. In Kerala, that is 680, 700 rupees. So people are queuing up to go. And these are the unskilled people. So what have we done in West Bengal? Look at the teacher scam. Look at the lack of industrialization. So the educated, of course, this is true for India. ILO report shows that if you're a graduate and in India, you are most likely to be unemployed, right? Graduate unemployment rate is about 60%. So the less educated you are, you will be doing better in India. This is the reality. West Bengal is no exception. We have not created enough opportunities for our educated middle class. We have not, the only opportunity that was there was the school teaching in villages. That was the most desirable job. We have botched it up like anything. We are waiting for the primary school verdict to come up. Another 68,000 people might lose their jobs, and then you have entire generations. The people who lost their jobs actually had appeared for the exam in 2016. They got their job in 2019. So this is how things are happening. So yes, I don't think we are equipped enough to enjoy the benefits of the demographic dividend. What we are creating is a group of highly disappointed, angry youngsters who can be mobilized either as party people. You see all this, the new political economy of India, that one political leader will, আমরা বাংলায় যেটাকে বলি যে কিছু লোকের দায়িত্ব নেবে. So there are 30, 40, 50 people engaged in illicit trade doing it for the politician. Why? Because there is no other economic opportunity. That is the alternative political economy in West Bengal. That is why garden reach happens, illegal buildings happen, koila churi, goru churi, and all these scams, because there is a lack of opportunity. Or they can be mobilized under some hateful politics.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of apathy that I witness. I was traveling in UP, and I was in Allahabad University. We had a session with the students. What really surprised us is the fact that the first-time voters, most of them, 50% of them, they have not registered themselves. They are not interested in voting. So they're saying, what's the point? And they're giggling about it, giggling about their right to vote, which is something I can't even relate to. So there is apathy also. I would like to add to that. Yeah.
I think, very, very, very apt summary by Jas.
Yeah.
But you see, whichever state of India, from Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, they have prospered. If you do a dispassionate analysis, they've had a combination of few things. They were very businesslike. They were efficient, and they were corrupt, right? So what's happened with us is we are corrupt, but we do not have the other two qualities of either having an endpoint objective or businesslike. So we have substituted the other three qualities by corruption. So in Bengal it is corruption, corruption, and corruption. So if you are corrupt and businesslike, you get somewhere. Remember, Tamil Nadu became an automobile hub as the corruption had peaked under Jayalalitha. Correct?
I don't entirely agree with that view, because I think it is also about you know, it did a competitive welfare politics also helped. So you had a population which was skilled and which had healthy food. So it was not, it was healthy, it had cheap food. You had this amma canteens and all. So you had 2 rupees idli, nobody was going hungry. And you had reservation, or which means it percolated down to the last level. So you had a basically educated population with which was healthy, so the brain worked. So all your manufacturing units, whoever wanted to come, they want to go to Tamil Nadu and set up shop there, because you have a thinking, more skilled population. So I don't agree with this corruption, that it is the most corrupt. That point I don't entirely agree with.
No, all I tried all I tried to say is
it's not because we are headquartered in Chennai.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying
Chennai
no.
for that.
I think no. You are
Tamilian that way.
No.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You are also suffering from pandemic generalizations. Because the problem is, it is not corruption. What I'm saying is that if you have a corrupt government in place, so they are being corrupt, they are stuffing up their party buffers and doing everything. At the same time, they are getting the source of revenue by attracting whatever industries. Okay, so these things happened in parallel. When Lee Kuan Yew developed Singapore post 1965, Lee Kuan Yew was he was no prophet of righteousness. He did what he wanted to did. He set up sovereign funds which were all governed by his family, but at the same time he made sure that there was industrialization, there was employment, there was investment going in. At the same time, he got his toll tax out of whoever was coming in. It happened hand in hand. Without Al Capone, you do not have a Las Vegas.
Right. So Sharmisha has a lot of questions. I'll sort of let her do a little bit of questioning.
Thank you, Santwana. My first general question to all our respected panelists is that, one of the main planks of BJP allegations of widespread corruption against the ruling party, from sand smuggling to cash for job scam, the plethora of arrests and thousands of teachers being thrown out of their jobs have been unprecedented in this state. So, do you think in the atmosphere of dole politics, kitty of dole, would it cut eyes with the voters who might feel comfortable with their kitty of dole? Do you think so?
I think that is interesting, Sharmisha, because I've been campaigning in this sweltering, blistering weather, and the people that I've spoken to, yes, you have the Lokhi Bhandar is there where, a certain strata of society does get that, guaranteed amount into the kitty. And of course, the religious heads of various institutions, they're also getting a particular amount every month. So, the narrative now, what the left and the Congress combined is trying to do is look beyond the doles. Look beyond the 1,000 rupees that is coming into your kitty. Look beyond the 100 rupees, because Kolkata ki chai, Kolkata chakri chai, unnati chai.
Right.
Kolkata wants jobs. Kolkata wants schools. Kolkata wants a better infrastructure, and there's no politicians talking about climate change. Look at our temperature today. I had made a video a few days back, and they were a cyclist union that came to meet me because I'm a cyclist myself. And I said, if I get elected, I'll ensure that Kolkata South becomes a green city, because if you look at the Kolkata South, there are a lot of cyclists. And we would ensure that the Tram Users Association is revived. We use trams just the way London, is, or just the way Istanbul runs trams, because the weather is better, the climate is better, it's a pollution-free city. So we want to make it a pollution-free city. We want schools, we want jobs, we want better healthcare, we want to ramp up the healthcare facilities. And I think we our aspirations are not misplaced. We are all fighting for the right causes, and also to ensure it's a secular government and not someone who is, theatrically trying to say that, you're a secular government, but at the same time, you're giving uh, tickets to previous BJP ministers. What kind of signaling are you doing? In the last election that I fought in the Baliganj bypoll, my competitor was a sitting minister of the BJP who jumped ship a few days, later to the TMC. So we are not looking at politics of opportunism. Like I said, this year is going to be a battle of ideas, battle of ideology. We are absolutely up to the gills, fed up with the politics of hatred that we see. We are fed up with the politics of corruption. And we want to do away with it. That is the reason, if you see the candidates from the left and the Congress combined, come from good, clean, educated backgrounds who do not aspire to mint money, do their work. And all we are looking for is to work for Kolkata, work for its people, and to work with integrity. That's all we aspire for at the moment.
Right. Kunal, do you think that the dole politics will come into play and come in the way of corruption charges or anything against the ruling party? Do you feel so? It will play a major role.
I'll just say, if I just have one hope, and that hope was that Saira was born about 50 years before, because the left, her predecessors in the left, before certain prophet of the left wanted to walk the path of industrialization, 2.5 generations before him thought it necessary to deindustrialize Bengal. So, like you spread gamaxine and DDT to fight out mosquitoes, so by spreading gamaxine and DDT, Bengal was deindustrialized unit by unit, factory for factory, because the insecure, unemployed labor force would be lifelong loyal to the leftist government who thought they are going to rule for the next 150 years. They didn't see that there was another prophet in different version coming. And that was the tragedy of Bengal. And that is why the vision of Buddhadev Bhattacharya failed. That was our bad luck, singular bad luck for Bengal over there. The impact of dole politics is tremendous, because if there is one region of the world whom we are copying now in socio-political behavior, that is South American politics. And there is one politician, once again, who Saira's predecessors displayed in the brigade parade ground in Kolkata, was a certain gentleman called Hugo Chavez. So if you go back home and read about what Hugo Chavez was about, what his dole politics is about, he reduced Venezuela from being one of the most oil-rich and one of the most potent economies in South America, where today Venezuela has something like 2,000% inflation rate. They are floating on petrol, which they cannot consume themselves. So, dole politics it is like, dousing out some immediate fire. The people, as Jazz said, absolutely brilliantly, lack of education, lack of employment, and when our natural economy is so depleted and so starved, what is happening around us? What mostly you call low-level corruption today, what is happening is the only trickle down that people have today is the money that leaks out of the government pipelines. That is the only source of subsistence that a great population of Bengal has today. And therein you see, I do not think we can say that dole politics will not make an impact. Dole politics will make an impact. I come from the domain of medicine. You say Shastro Shati in Bengal.
Right.
You see what Mamata Banerjee did through Shastro Shati. I don't honestly.
And Kanyashri.
Sorry?
Kanyashri.
Both. But what Mamata Banerjee did through Shastro Shati, if you look, not now, not currently, because last 6-7 months, Shastro Shati is virtually been repealed, nothing much is happening. The way it worked for 1 year, Shastro Shati, I'll tell you, I'm neither a fan, I'm not sold on either of the two parties, was 50 times more effective than your Ayushman Bharat. 50 times more effective. Ayushman Bharat from 2015 till about 2020 was more of a national bluff. Nothing was happening in Ayushman Bharat. But She may have completely depleted the state's finances, but for 12 to 14 months, there was some kind of delivery. And what Shastro Shati is to Bengal, National Health Service was to UK. Why did you have National Health Service in England? Because Winston Churchill was out to win the 1946-47 election straight away. So the Labour government wanted to have one-upmanship, and Churchill did not even go out and campaign in the 1940s. He had just thrashed Adolf Hitler. So Churchill told to himself, I have thrashed Adolf Hitler. Do I need to go out and campaign and win the next election? He lost hollow. Why did he lose hollow? Because like Mamata Banerjee and Shastro Shati, Labour came out with the National Health Service. A chap called Beveridge wrote the plans of it. Right. And both Adolf Hitler was history and so was Winston Churchill. So when you give benefits to people, you do gain, right? So we are in a state of deprivation in Bengal, where honestly I think Jazz will know better. I think in the short term, a lot of people are surviving from hand to mouth in many ways, depending upon that 500 rupees, that cycle, that scheme, that free ration. I don't think we, the privileged, cannot pretend for a moment. Is it a good thing?
I think Saira wants to say something.
If I can just add to can I please add to the question? Add to the question. Saira, since it's back to you, why is it that the left never thought of this kind of welfare program?
So like coming back to the
why is it? I would ask you, and then you as a political scientist analyze this. Why was it? Why does a left party never think of it? Why did a left not throw up a grassroots leader like Mamata? And does BJP have a grassroots leader who can be the Mamata for them? So these three things I will.
So if so it's not as if just answering, and as Dr. Kunal Sarkar said, and going back to Professor Mahmood also answering them about dole politics, it's not that we do not believe in social welfare. We're saying we need to increase the social welfare. We are saying that we'll increase the Lokhi Bhandara amount. We will increase the other social fare amount, because here this is not the only segment. But what we are trying to tell people is also look beyond the dole. Look beyond the 1,000 rupees, look beyond the 500 rupees, because we are here and we mean business. We are here to walk the talk. We are going to create jobs. We are not just going to rest on the 1,000 rupees or the 500 rupees that is coming into your bank account. We are telling them to look beyond that. And that is where we come in. The amount is assured. You will get your social welfare funds. But we need to look beyond the dole. And it's not that the left did not look at the social welfare measures earlier. I was born much after the left front came to power. So I cannot talk about what happened in 77 or what happened then. So I can talk about whatever I've witnessed. If you look at Buddhadev Bhattacharya, you look at Jyoti Basu's thing. He put the panchayat system in place. He did look after the rural development. And then Buddhadev Bhattacharya came, who was an amalgamation of the rural of Bengal and the industrious Bengal and aspirational Bengal. Where did the IT companies? He brought in Wipro, he brought in IBM, there were flyovers. When I came into Bengal, I was a very young girl. I was just 21 years old when I came at the turn of the millennium to Kolkata. I did not see a single mall. The forums and the different inoxes have come up, after I came back to Kolkata as a young 21-year-old bride when I came back to Kolkata. So this whole switchover has happened in Buddhadev Bhattacharya's time. So we can't really negate his contribution. We can debate about it, because at the same time, if you look at Singur, he was trying to bring in the Tata Nano project. It was Mamata Banerjee's political mechanisms that the Singur plant was gifted away to Narendra Modi in Gujarat. But we were creating jobs in a very, very industrious way, and no one can negate or deny that we were doing that. And I said, the left is not against social welfare schemes. We want to increase the amount being given to imams been given to purohits, been given to women, the Loki Bandar, we want to increase the amount. That is what we want to say. But we just don't want to rest laurels on the dole amount. We are telling people that we need job creation, and just don't sit on that amount, because Kolkata wants jobs. It wants industry. We want better roads. We want better health infrastructure. We want a cleaner air. We want a pollution-free Kolkata. That is what we are aspiring to do at the moment.
Zaad, what you would like to add to it?
Yes, I would like to add.
I just want to comment on Saira's response. Saira, I'm sorry to say, you work with legacy baggage. You have a lot of baggage that you have to carry. And it is good that the left has got young people like you to contest election. That is a very good positive thing. I'm just adding that
I don't come from a legacy background. I have 17, 18 years in the corporate sector and with IT industry. And with the IT industry.
No, she's meaning the party legacy baggage.
See, that is the reason they fielded people, younger candidates like me, who...
Actually, Saira wasn't born. At the time, the great literary contribution was made by the left front when Gherao and Lockout was inducted into the Oxford Dictionary. So after Rabindranath's Nobel Prize, that was the second most epochal literary contribution we made to because Gitanjali was originally written in English when it won the Nobel Prize. And after that, we put in two other words into the international lexicon, that was Gherao and Lockout. But the fact that Sarah wasn't born at that time, I can't blame her for that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the battle in West Bengal is between corruption, violence versus populist welfare. We all know which one is going to win. That is the big question. And in that sense, populist welfare models are not unique to West Bengal. Because you cover all India, every state in India does that. Even Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Tom-Tom's Ujjwala scheme, Mudra Yojana, and 50 other schemes. So this is the model of neoliberal welfare. This model did not exist when the left was here. So for example, the left would emphasize on land reforms, panchayats, institution buildings. Jawaharlal Nehru would emphasize on building industries. Mamata Banerjee would emphasize on giving direct money to the beneficiaries. This is the model of competitive populism in elections, where the focus is not to build institutions, right? And this model is followed everywhere. Where I would agree with Kunalda to a certain extent, and also with you. What happened in Tamil Nadu was politicians were corrupt. However, they also facilitated economic growth.
Absolutely.
And that is why industries were set up. And a certain part of that money was spent on people's welfare. West Bengal is doing quite good in arresting poverty. Let us, there was this study after COVID that in all India, poverty is increased. In West Bengal, actually poverty decreased during the COVID. And that is because of these direct transfers, right? Money being sent directly by the government. So multidimensional poverty, infant mortality, those things have improved. Where the problem is that you are giving people money who are haplessly poor, but they have no way to get out of the poverty on their own. So they are dependent on the government money. That is why the chief minister can go and say that if I get defeated, Lokhir Bhandar will end. And the 1.3 crore or 1.4 crore women beneficiaries who are haplessly poor are afraid that this would stop. So this is a kind of economy. And think about it. Narendra Modi says that 80 crore families get ration, 5 kg ration. What kind of economy do you boast of when 80 crore people are dependent on 5 kg ration from the state? They are not earning enough. That's why they are dependent on it. You and I are not depending on it. So this just shows the abject poverty that is there in India, which parties encash by directly giving money. So welfare versus corruption, big question. In 2016, corruption did not cut ice. Mamata Banerjee said, "Ami janle oder election e ticket ditam na." Everybody won after Naroda and Sharoda and everything. We are seeing, let's see what happens in
So my
2024.
last question to
Why are you bothering? The seats belongs to the consortium.
True,
so my
true.
last question to
But I'll just quickly, I will add,
Right.
why
See,
West Bengal is a
You
problem.
see, there is a every time there were, I think, 14 critical bills described, being debated in the Indian Parliament. All the God knows how many, 28 odd Trinamool MPs had the great biological urge to go to the toilet in chorus.
Correct. Correct. No, no, even.
I mean, if
right.
you should do a physiological study on that. That 28 people at the same time all want to go to the loo at the same time.
Yeah, CAA
When
would
bills
not
like
pass.
CAA get this, it is a physiological wonder. It's happened 13 times or 14 times.
True.
So once this election is over and this minor distraction gets out, get some bladder continence study done on whoever wins this time. Because they all have the urge to visit the loo right at the same time, have a prolonged duration of activity over there, and they come out when the bill has passed. Thank you.
So my last question to the esteemed panelists is that, apart from this dole politics, the Lokhe Bhandar kind of thing, opposition to, just one last question, opposition to CAA and NRC, CAA, NRC, and painting BJP as an outsider in Bengal seem to be the other two major planks of the TMC Mamata Banerjee-led government. So how far do you people think this two factors will also work in Bengal this time, because that reaped dividends last time?
I'll just make a short comment.
Yeah.
I don't know why you are so gullible. You are a good person the last time I knew you, right? Don't be so gullible. It's all internal redistribution. Why are you splitting hairs? There is only one competition between the consortium and these people. The trouble basically is they are so far behind that you are trying to, in the last elections, you were looking at them with a binocular. This time, perhaps they will come a little closer. And I'm no great fan of the left, but honestly, the only time I've not visited Kalighat for 30 years now, I can go to Kalighat and spend 10 rupees and say, for the worth of the vestiges of Indian democracy, if these people have some representation in the parliament, we will probably get somewhere. And this over expired, the time worn concept of democracy in India live on. For God's sake, look after your health, your blood pressure, your mental tension. Why are you worrying about BJP and TMC? It's one and the same. I don't know who's given you. You are journalists, man. Wake up to the real world.
So, what was the question again? It was.
So will these two things, CA, NRC, and BJP being an outsider, play to...
So I have opposed the NRCCA on every platform possible, be it in the national media, be it on the ground in Delhi, be it in Kolkata, because it's a very divisive law, because here it's understood. Look at the mammoth exercise, 1600 crore being exercised on a futile mammoth exercise. You could have used a 1600 crore to create hospitals, to create schools. And as a human race, we do not differentiate on the basis of religion or caste or creed. What do we say? We say Vasudeva Kutumbakam. That means the whole world is a family. So as a country, as a race, Indians have never ever discriminated anybody on the basis of citizenship as per your religion's concern. My only contention is, when you are, telling your own countrymen, I can recognize certain people by the kind of clothes that they wear. So and so is a ghuspetia. Who's a ghuspetia? It is directly othering a community, and it is appalling. And I think we need to call it out. Not just the minorities, any thinking individual, that you do not call your own citizens intruders. The term that was used, ghuspetia, I was appalled and alarmed, and it has never ever happened in a democracy where the current prime minister is using the politics of hatred to win the 2024 elections. You're calling the minorities of the country ghuspetia. You are calling the opposition leaders that they are Pakistan sympathizers. You are using terms like vote jihad. It is absolutely, the man has gone ballistic. He needs to be, controlled. This is absolutely appalling. It has never ever happened in a democratic elected government that this kind of canvassing, which is so vitriolic and filled with hatred, I'm sorry to say. And I think any thinking individual would say that we as Indians do not discriminate. And if we give citizenship, it is not basis of what your caste is or what your religion is. It is per merit.
Yeah. Yeah. So one last quick comments, and then we'll open it to two questions. Two questions only from the audience. Anybody? Any questions? Yeah. Take, huh? Yeah.
Mr. Berman from the New Indian Express. We had two governments in the preceding few decades, the Left Front and the TMC. Now, what I generally read the edit page of newspaper because there's not much of time with us these days, with digital, with the influx of social media and digital. So what I believe is West Bengal is bestowed with a lot of advantages. Like you have, it's a state which has power supply surplus, which is water surplus. It's the gateway of Southeast Asia. We have cheap labor, but the precedence has been that both the governments have failed to leverage. So, do you think that you see a future with any of the political party who can take this state forward?
Yeah.
Sir, I'll just give you a quick answer because
yeah.
I have to eject myself shortly. I have to go somewhere at 2:45. One is West Bengal has been absolutely looking way into the future and way into the green future. That is why we got rid of our industries. We've got rid of the young people we work. We have the lowest density of motor cars on the roads. So we are actually quite an environmental green city now, and per capita one of the lowest carbon footprints in the country. Because completely de-industrialized, the next time you come, we may not even need petrol and diesel to go around in the city anymore. We have worked very hard at it for the last 50 years, and some of Sarah's predecessors did that very successfully. The trouble with us right now over is we've had two left front governments, one left front and one very left front. Okay, so it's a complete misnomer to think that the left front was replaced by the right front. It wasn't. So we had declared communists and we had covert left-wing government. Now the currently is what's going to happen next. We are now behaving like a social gathering. When somebody becomes sick for the first time, the family becomes very worried. If somebody becomes sick chronically, that becomes a social event in the family. So everybody walks around the family, oh, how is he doing, etc., etc. So you learn to live with sickness. So with us, the problem is we are corrupt. We don't have a business-like endpoint in mind. Trouble is we have effectively broken the back of education. My only hope when I look back in history is when 1965 Malaysia kicked out Singapore because called Singapore a basket case. They were simply ejected from the Malaysian Union. They said you are so hopeless that nothing will come of you in the past. Then a certain gentleman took care of Singapore and made it what it is today. So if you want, let us do some planchette of Lee Kuan Yew, some character like that comes up. Otherwise, we are in desperate trouble now. And my fear as somebody born, brought up, earned my bread over here is from decline, we are now threatened with insignificance and irrelevance. Does West Bengal matter today? Are we in sync with the story of rest of India? Does the other 28 or 29 major states regard us to be a stakeholder with all the imperfections of the Indian narrative of today? is a very crucial question. So as time goes on, we from declined, we are being whatever. This Indian narrative is not a perfect narrative, but even then we are getting out of place. Thank you.
I would like to oppose Kunal there.
Yeah.
I think
But
I want to oppose Kunal there. Only reason could be that he has seen enough and he doesn't have any hope for the future. I haven't seen enough. But the thing is, when McKinsey wrote a report on the industrial and economic revival of West Bengal, KPMG has done a report, and I'm talking about business organizations, not political parties. And all of them highlight certain things. For example, our human resource. I am in academia, go to any university in India and go to the science departments and economics department, social science department, you will find Bengali. Go to any research institute in India, any science institute, you will find Bengalis. The point is, we have not governed or followed the policies which are required, and we are in a trap where, think about it, tomorrow any party comes to power, they would have to make similar amounts of expenditure on direct beneficiaries. You can't do away with Lokir Bhandar. And so where do you get the money? Our problem is we are not earning enough. Just to give you a data, our own tax to our GDP ratio is amongst the poorest in India. We don't earn enough, we don't spend enough. Whatever we earn, we are spending on welfare, and we are borrowing to spend it on welfare.
Economic structure has to change, and the economic activities have to pick up. Yeah. Yeah. We thank all of you for coming, and it's a wonderful session. There's one last question.
It's a very quick question for Kunalda. So, in a recent media report by The Wire, it was quoted that BJP will rule India till 2049. And somebody who's going to ensure this is Rahul Gandhi, no other, but it's Rahul Gandhi is going to ensure that this happens. So with this, the question of the context, which I really like, that democracy is a disease, will this be cured?
What is your question?
No, I mean, are you talking about the prospects of democracy?
No.
What is your question?
I'm talking about the prospect of India needing.
Well, I'll give you a short answer. If you think China is communist, then India will be a democracy.
Lovely headline way to end in. Thank you very much.
And if you want another few words after that, please go home and remember that North Korea is a democratic republic.